As a volunteer board member, regardless of the type of nonprofit, it's necessary to take steps to reduce any potential loss or damage that could incur. So whether you're just joining a board or you are a longtime board member, we hope that you'll learn something new today. Welcome. So I have Carrie McDonald here today with me from RV Nucio and Associates, and she is an expert in insurance. And I'm here today with her to talk about common misconceptions that leaders have about their insurance policies. So, Carrie, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's so exciting to have you here today. So, would you be able to give me some ideas of common misconceptions that group leaders, especially parent group leaders, often have about their insurance policies? What do you see in your line of work?
Well, first off, I see that many of these groups think that they have coverage under their schools and other organizations. That would be the first misconception. They don't realize that they are a separate legal entity and they need to have their own insurance coverage. The other misconception I feel is that they feel that they can get full coverage under every single policy and that they can do whatever they want under these policies and that they will be covered. The coverages, and I'm going to bring up two different coverages, general liability coverage and directors and officers liability coverage. Oftentimes, the directors and officers of these groups think that if they only buy directors and officers liability coverage, that's going to cover them for all of the items that would be covered under a general liability policy. And it does not. All of these policies that they have dovetail each other. So if you have a general liability policy, it doesn't cover what's under a directors and officers liability policy. If you have a general liability policy, it's not going to cover the bonding exposures that you have under a policy. So oftentimes I think it's confusion of which policies cover what, but the biggest one I feel is the directors and officers liability coverage, which we don't see as many lawsuits under that particular type of coverage compared to a general liability policy. And the directors and officers are covered under a general liability policy as well. So it's a little confusing to the groups.
I wasn't aware of that. Yeah, I can see how that can get a little bit confusing. Okay. And any good insurance agent, especially you guys at RV Nucio, can help clarify that and guide these parent group leaders in the right direction.
Absolutely.
So, one of the most common things I hear about, especially at the elementary level, they like to often have carnivals. And in the past few years prior to COVID, when we could actually do things in person, one of the things that a lot of groups would do is bring in bouncy houses. How does insurance work with that?
It depends on the type of policies that they buy. We have to remember that every insurance company does things a little differently. So we have policies that do include coverage for injuries that would arise out of using a bounce house. And then we do have policies that will exclude inflatable activities. It's pretty common in the industry that inflatable activities are excluded. So we advise our groups to get insurance from the vendor that they are hiring to bring the bounce house into the festival or carnival. And then we advise them as well to be added to their policy as an additional insured. And then one more thing is we advise them to always have that vendor run the piece of equipment with the moon bounces, and also to make sure that they're never used in high winds, as many of them can become unattached and have flown up in the air with children in them. So,
oh, wow. Okay. That seems like good, solid advice. Okay. Wow. Another thing that I hear about from groups often, not often, but when I hear about it, it kind of breaks my heart. Embezzlement is sometimes an issue in organizations, financial embezzlement. And often groups feel that their insurance covers any kind of embezzlement that might happen. Is that true?
Well, no, it isn't. Actually, the term bonding coverage is in the industry typically you can buy a bond for 5, 10, 15, 20,000, whatever the dollar limit is, and it will only cover the directors and officers that are listed on the application. How we provide coverage to our groups is we provide what's called crime coverage. And the crime coverage gets much more in depth. So we cover employee dishonesty, theft, disappearance, and destruction, forgery and alteration. We cover loss inside the premises, meaning on the school property, and then also loss outside the property. So somebody getting robbed on the way to the bank, or their car gets broken into and the money stolen out of the back of the trunk. So the embezzlement comes a lot of times from within the organization, and it typically is your treasurers, your presidents, the people that have access to the bank accounts. A group should always look for a crime policy where it's broader in coverage, where it covers not just the directors and officers, but any member of the organization acting as a volunteer. So with our policies, if a volunteer, even a non-paying member, offers to take money to the bank for, the president's sister, but, will offer to take the money to the bank for her, and let's say she gets robbed on the way there, the money would be covered under the policy. So we extend the policy language to really cover all of the volunteers and people that are handling money on behalf of a parent-teacher group.
Can you think of any other misconceptions that parent group leaders have about their insurance policies that you commonly see?
A very common one is that they think it covers breaches of their duty as far as handling any of their tax liabilities. And that's a really big problem. And they'll call us and we'll have to tell them that's not covered under an insurance policy. Nobody's tax liabilities in the world are covered under an insurance policy.
Totally wish.
The other thing is that they feel that the insurance will just provide them with an attorney to fight an argument that is going on within the group. So the attorneys only come into play once a claim has been filed by a third party. But it's very common that these groups will call and say, well, we want you to hire us an attorney so that we can have this done our way. And that's a very big misconception for these groups.
Oh, interesting. You see it all, don't you?
I've been doing it for 27 years.
So that's a yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you for talking to us today about these misconceptions. I had no idea. This has been an eye-opener for me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, if you guys have questions about your policy, or if you need to get a policy, I would recommend reaching out to the folks at RV Nuncio for some help as a parent group leader. So thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.